Welcome to the Realty Plus Real Talk series, where we talk to industry experts for their honest views and opinions and real facts and figures. And today we have with us Dr. S. Vasudevan, who is the chairman for Ozone Group, which is a Bengaluru-based one of the leading real estate developers. And they have projects not only in Bengaluru, but also in Chennai, Mumbai, and Goa. And in fact, Dr. Vasudevan is an architect and he has more than 2 decades of experience in real estate design and development. And he is known as the visionary behind the achievements and success of Ozone Group. So Dr. Vasudevan, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sapna madam. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Vasudevan, first of all, let me congratulate you on the new corporate identity that you unveiled recently. And a very fine logo that you have come up with an international global outlook, plus the Indian traditional culture that it signifies. So what is the whole concept behind this transformation, and what are the new changes that we are going to see in organization structure and strategy going forward?
Yeah, I think I will talk from my industry's perspective, which is real estate. People have realized, in fact, our own logo now symbolizes that we need to be more responsible in terms of the entire planning, design, and execution of projects. I believe going green, energy saving, and a lot of, building materials which can actually be locally available, less polluting. So these are some of the practices that one can do very easily. I think a lot of thinking is going into biophilic buildings today.
Right.
And we want to reduce carbon emission to a great extent. We want to see that even transportation within our townships is less of fossil fuel burning and more of what you call that electric or battery operated kind of horizontal transportation system. So transformation is happening in the way people are designing, planning, and living today. When I mean living, it is a word that encompasses whether it's homes or offices or shopping or retail or entertainment or any of these things. If you see the trend today is that people want to eat outside. People want to, the fact that drive-in theaters have come back today. People want to spend more time outdoors. People want to have good cross ventilation in their buildings. People, when air conditioning is required, I believe that there are far better filtration systems that are available that can actually suck in a lot of fresh air and have better, concepts in terms of air circulation itself. So I think these are some of the significant changes that are going to be implemented across our industries, across products, and across sectors.
Okay. So that kind of, Ozone Group, in any case, you are doing in a lot of your integrated township, one of which is Urbana,
Right.
Which is a flagship project. And I believe that has also been rebranded under this strategy.
That's right. I mean, today, if we look at Ozone Group itself, I think more than by planning, it has just happened that we are in the integrated development township space. We have about 320 acres of integrated township currently under development.
Okay.
One in Bangalore, which is about 200 acres. The other two are in Chennai. One is a 70-acre integrated township. The other is a 43-acre integrated township. Now, when we talk about integrated townships, we want to differentiate ourselves. Mm-hmm. That each of these townships will stand by 5 pillars that we think are very essential for these townships, and we believe that can also be the future of habitation.
Okay.
So when I talk of these 5 pillars, I say that the first pillar for a good integrated township should be infrastructure. So infrastructure, not just in terms of roads and circulation and sidewalks and pavements, but also technology infrastructure, which actually enables people to lead a much better quality of life. So all our integrated townships will have a technology partner, will have fiber optic connectivity to every home, will have Internet of Things, so that it is easier for people, whether it is safety, security, convenience, and entertainment. And the last piece that has been missing as far as concerned will also be the e-commerce piece.
Okay.
So once the fiber optic is laid out, the person can use one of the features to take care of, whether it is visitor control, whether it is safety, security, energy saving. I mean, these are things already there. What we want to take the bar up to is that whether people can transact from their homes, whether people can buy from their homes, whether people can, take care of their medical facilities from home. I mean, there are multiple options that are available. People currently today use connectivity only for entertainment and maybe a little bit for all the other features that I spoke about. But e-commerce reaching your home is something that the technology provider that we are talking to currently, which is Reliance Jio, is looking at, bringing into all our townships.
Okay.
The second pillar that we are talking about is actually the product mix itself. So when I talk of product mix, I say that I'm there from the creche going right up to the grave, because we have creche, we have education, we have entertainment, we have hospitality, we have multi-sport facilities, we have parks, open spaces. Let's forget just the residential or the commercial or the mall or the hotel or the school or the health clinic, anything. But we go right up to the senior care homes, and there also we go up to assisted care centers.
Correct.
So virtually somebody could live their entire,
life there.
life within these townships. You can study there, you can work there, you can actually live there, and you can do all your activities that you need to do there. You can retire there, and once you really have some health ailment, God forbid, you can even get yourself admitted into the assisted care center. So when I mean assisted care, I'm talking about right from Parkinson's, Alzheimer's to so many other things.
Right.
Now for this piece, we are actually talking to a healthcare partner, again for all the three townships. So we will have one technology partner, we will have one healthcare partner, we will have one hospitality partner, we will have one education partner, we will have one retail partner, one senior care partner, and one assisted care center partner. So because we are purely brick and mortar and we are not in the services business, so we are only enabling all these things to happen.
True. So I believe, yeah. Please.
Yeah, sorry. So Sapna, I mean, this is my second pillar.
Okay.
Yeah. The third pillar is going to be about eco-friendliness, whether it can be fully solar, whether the power consumption can be only sourcing from alternate green energy. There is a lot of green energy producers today, and they all have, the transmission and distribution agreements with various state grids. So we are already talking to 3-4 power producers who will only provide green energy here. This is apart from your water recycling and STP and all other energy saving mechanisms. Where for us, our two differentiators should definitely be solar as well as green energy.
Right.
The fourth aspect that we are looking at as far as one of the pillars are concerned is going to be culture. Because in culture, with all these amenities that are available, we are looking at harmonizing, maybe in Urbana, we currently have 2,000 people living, but it will be a township of close to about 30 to 40,000 people when fully completed. Every year, we give close to about 400 to 500 apartments for living. And the commercial space has already started construction. So we would be looking at almost a 4 to 5 million square feet of commercial development in Urbana, close to about 2.5 million square feet of commercial development in Metro Zone. And then we have about 1 million square feet in Greens. So all these three, apart from the commercial users and the residences, I'm looking at almost 100,000 people residing in these three townships.
Mm.
So for this 100,000 people, it is our responsibility to see that a lot of cultural activities will go on. and there will be, we are also having this floating restaurant kind of concepts, like pop-up restaurants coming in different sittings every weekend in Urbana or in Greens or in Metro Zone, because we have so much of open land. 320 acres, we hardly consume about 20% as the building footprint. So I think almost about 280 acres of open land is available for us to creatively use.
Absolutely.
So culture is definitely one of our pillars, and we have a team dedicated only for culture. The fifth thing that we are talking about basically is that, can we practice live CSR on these townships? I mean, we are not really concerned about doing something outside. Can we do it inward? The people who work in this township, either in the construction or in the service industry, as a developer, for the first time, we are actually creating international style labor accommodation, even though we don't do any construction ourselves. So we have specially designed our own, structures. And when we give it to third-party contractors, we ensure that they house their laborers or migrant workers into these facilities. To me, it is dignity of living. It is dignity of labor, which has never existed in this industry. I am ashamed to say that I've been in this industry for 26 years. I have worked with the biggest contractors in the country. We have delivered close to about 10, 15 million square feet of space. But I have never really taken the effort to go and see how these laborers actually live, what conditions they have, what sanitization they have, what kind of sanitary, facilities are there. The answer is zero. They've all been living in these makeshift, tin sheds, open to the nature, open to the forces of wind, rain, whatever you call it, whether it is, reptiles or anything like that. So I believe the migration that took place now is an eye-opener for a lot of us. I believe we have that responsibility. The second responsibility that we have is, can we subsidize education for at least 100 kids who are, working within our township, because we have education facilities? Can we subsidize healthcare? Because we have, healthcare facilities. Can we do any of these things? Can we reward social workers, services people, armed forces people? Can we give them subsidized housing? Can we give some of them free housing? I mean, when I'm building close to 30,000 homes in these three, locations, I'm sure that no investor or no lender is ever going to say that we should not give some of these things to these people. So to me, that's an extremely important part of our 5-pillar approach. We want to push the bar of CSR within these townships itself. So that is what we believe can differentiate ourselves from a lot of products that are out there in the market.
Completely, Dr. Vasudevan. I hope, other developers would also, think on the same lines that you are thinking. One is charity begins at home, and we have seen the apathy that, towards the laborers, which you mentioned, that we saw it when, all these migrant laborers during COVID, how they suffered. And, if, at least few of the developers start thinking like you, I think we could have, averted much of the misery that was caused during these times.
Absolutely.
And other pillars that you spoke about, the social infrastructure, again, if you are developing a township, it's not only the physical infrastructure but the social infrastructure also, which is very important. And again, supporting our armed forces, supporting the underprivileged, education, what you mentioned. So again, as a developer, what you have right now said is that as a developer, it's not only the physical development of the real estate or the infrastructure, but it is also the economical and social development of the country. Developers can be part of.
That's right. I mean, we are only going by our Prime Minister's directive about smart cities. I mean, the smart city need not just be about brick and mortar. Right. It is also about human beings, because to me, ultimately, habitation involves human beings, involves society, and it has to be harmonious. And I also believe that there is too much of, inequality today. And we, at least the people who are going to work within our townships or provide service within our townships, we will try at our minimum best to, look at how we can sort of bridge that.
Right.
So, but as I said, I mean, today I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm doing this. So, but I would also like to, leave behind a legacy that we've at least done all these kind of things and we've attempted. And I'm sure that the rest of our fraternity will follow. I don't believe that the industry will not pay back and ensure that probably people may do even better initiatives than what we have started.
Yeah,
But somebody has to begin somewhere.
that's true. It takes one person to set an example, and I'm sure others would follow that. So,
Sure.
Dr. Vasudevan, this was one of the biggest takeaway, I think, of today's conversation. But coming to the present times, we have another good news has been that real estate has recovered faster than what was predicted by analysts. In fact, South cities, Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, supposed to lead this recovery. Uh,
Yes.
so my two questions to you. One is, what are the reasons that real estate has done better than what was expected? And why the southern cities, which we mentioned mostly Bengaluru, Chennai, and Hyderabad, have done even better than other regions?
Sure. I mean, to answer your first question, I think first of all, the, even prior to COVID, I think there was a lot of real estate was very lukewarm as far as the performance was concerned. I would even say maybe 6 quarters prior to COVID, because there were new ideas and concepts coming saying that why should we own a home? You see, today the majority of the home buyer who we target, who is the middle class and maybe the middle class, are basically from the services sector. Whether it is IT, whether it is banking, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is pharmaceutical or any of these other industries. Now, the target segment was between, say, around 25 years to about 40 years. In that sector, there was a lot of confusion saying that why should we own a home? We do not know whether we are going to belong to a particular place. Our jobs can take us to different places. There were concepts about, co-living and cohabitation and so many other things. I believe one of the factors that the pandemic created was the necessity to own a home, the necessity to feel secure. So the priority of the consumer completely changed from thinking whether I should own to saying that today I need to own a home. So that is a huge mind shift that happened. And people also realized that this pandemic, while, we are all very optimistic that there will be a vaccine and then there will be subsequent, a feeling of safety and security, it's a long drawn affair. And I don't think there is going to be any quick fix kind of a solution to this. So people understand. So this has become a priority in terms of people's mind, number one. Number two is that the government has given a lot of incentives in terms of reducing stamp duty, in terms of bringing down the buyer's burden to a great extent. Number three is that they have also, they have also probably given us the lowest interest rate regime that is ever possible today. So, the housing loan has become probably amongst the cheapest that has been there over the last 2 decades. And it is edging towards international, mortgage kind of rates. So that again is a fantastic, sign. The fourth sign is that considering alternate investments, if you look at stock market is not for the faint hearted. Mutual funds have been rather muted in their performance. And today the volatility in the, currency as well as the commodities or, the bullion market, people have realized that real estate is a safe bet. It is it's a first home, it's a first home buyer. And the guy is thinking he's probably getting the best deal that is possible today. It's not going to happen lower than this. So there is absolutely no problem at all. So that is something that is really spurring the growth in the middle income category of buyers. Now, why Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bangalore? I believe the rampant employment of the services sector in all these 3 cities is only contributing towards the velocity in terms of the sales. We have done 300% in terms of percentage sales in the last 1 month compared to the last, what you call that, 2-3 months. And we expect this momentum to continue. During the pandemic, if we were selling 10, once the lockdown opened, it became 30. Today, it is in the region of 100. Just to give you a figurative example.
So I believe it is the service sector, the presence of large IT and ITES companies which are there in the south cities are, basically the reason for huge demand which has been created by the people who are working in here. We have also seen a lot of large deals happening in commercial segment, including REITs.
Yes.
So, which shows that there is a investor's confidence in this, because office spaces till now people were saying they are not doing good, they are not, how they are going to shape up. But this shows that there is investors' confidence in India growth story.
Absolutely. No, but Sapna, if you see the performance of the top 5 Indian IT companies, I think all of them have outperformed what the industry had foretold earlier. And today, if you look at the kind of order books that a HCL or a Wipro or an Infosys or a TCS has, it only seems to be growing. I think there was a very temporary lull when a lot of European, North American and US companies were actually curbing their budgets on IT spending. But today that is completely reversed. So what people are finding is that their order books are huge. And probably the anti-China sentiment temporarily also helped to a great extent. And people realize that they want an alternate to China in terms of what you call that, having a lot of other, technology-oriented manufacturing also coming up here. I don't believe that India is going to be a mass market manufacturer, like in terms of whether it is apparel or whether it is, furniture or whether it is shoes, but you're going to find technology-oriented projects, defense-oriented projects, a lot of them that require IT and their support, apart from your traditional retail, banking, telecom, and all other healthcare sectors that India already is a leader to. So these are all additional sectors that will come into India. So there is a huge amount of optimism as far as the growth of the commercial reality in India itself is concerned, whether it's a REIT, whether it is private equity, whether it is the large sovereign funds, PE funds buying over massive portfolios of developers. All these things are happening.
Okay, so that's again a good sign.
Real estate is going to really bounce back in a big way.
Okay, that's good to hear. In fact, NRI, surge in demand. NRIs, a lot of NRIs. In last few months we saw buying or investing in Indian real estate either for emotional or financial reasons.
Yes.
So, how are developers capitalizing on this demand from NRIs?
I think one of the things that at least we have done is that we have started using data analytics in a fairly large way, and we've been able to sort of segregate, or we are able to focus market on the NRI groups depending on the profile and what they want to actually look at as an investment product or as an end-use product in India. And it has helped that we have a presence in most of the large areas where there is a huge Indian diaspora, whether it is in the Middle East or whether it is in the Far East or whether it is in the West. So the Ozone brand is quite familiar. We used to do almost 30% of our total sale to NRIs earlier. So now we are only pushing that and trying to expand our customer base. And yes, there is a huge amount of interest from NRIs today.
Any change in their requirements have you noticed during pandemic in terms of property?
There are two things, Sapna. One is your product has to be differentiated. Your product has to be relevant to today's living conditions. And I believe that delivery is the key, and people prefer ready to move in homes. I mean, so these are few of the fundamental things which are absolutely essential if you want to succeed as a developer. I don't believe it is brand. I believe it is delivery and service today that is going to make the difference.
Completely, irrespective of who the customer or the consumer is,
Yeah.
whether NRIs, whether it's our Indian customer. You also spoke about the government initiatives which help create demand in these difficult
Yes.
times. A lot of people say these are short-term measures for short-term redressal because of the challenges of COVID. What, according to you, could be the deep structural reforms that Indian real estate industry needs to become, strong sector to support economy? Because we already know that real estate also supports at least 300 other industries. So, what kind of structural reforms you would recommend for Indian real estate?
If you ask me, Sapna, I believe there are only two things that are required. One is a very strong land kind of a assessment and a digitization and a certification. Most developed countries, even underdeveloped countries, give you a title certificate, and that title certificate is good enough as far as your title is concerned. And the problem here is that whenever we are talking of large projects, we are always worried whether there will be claimants who will come 50 years later, and then some magistrate in some court is going to give some stake. So if we are able to fix our land uh, title in terms of getting it electronically, digitally done, and if the government can endorse a title certificate, they have done enough in terms of the RERA Act, which protects consumers to a great extent. So if titles can be cleared, if approvals can be given in a very transparent system, if it can be completely online with zero interference. I mean, I'm saying that the most challenging thing is the tax system. If the tax system can have a faceless assessment, why can't an approval system have a completely faceless, what do you call that process, whereby everybody knows what has been downloaded and what needs to be done? I think these two fundamental things can change our industry to a great extent. It will bring in billions and billions of dollars of money coming inside, because a lot of private equity, a lot of sovereign funds, all of them get concerned about Indian courts, concerned about Indian title, concerned about Indian approvals. I mean, period. That's it. Yeah. The
In
rest
fact,
is no rocket science.
right, right. Recently, Supreme Court also came out with the ruling that for property or for the housing unit allocation period calculation, the builder buyer agreement date should be considered and not the RERA registration date. So,
Yes.
what is your viewpoint from a buyer's perspective and from the developer's perspective on this?
If you ask me frankly, I believe a contract is between a buyer and a seller. And if the seller has said that he has to deliver within so and so date, he has to deliver. Irrespective of whether the RERA date, because the RERA date takes into consideration, in our case we have large projects and we are going to do it in phases. So I may take, for one project I may take 5 years, because the project size is massive. We have many projects which are 1,000,000 square feet plus, going up to 20 million square feet. But if I have a contract with the customer saying that I'll deliver in 3 years time, then I believe that we should deliver in 3 years time. Yeah.
Okay.
See, we cannot interpret the law to suit our own convenience. I mean, that is from my personal, what do you call that, viewpoint.
So probably some developers were taking advantage of that or trying to play on that.
But I can tell you one thing, that the industry is definitely going through a lot of reformation. A lot of professionals are coming back into the industry, and and our industry is only 20 years old. If you ask me, the industry started in an organized form only in 2000. So we are in 2020, whereas the United States 300 years old, Great Britain 500 years old. So I still believe we are being, while there have been bad instances, there have been intent to, what you call that, not go ahead with consumer interests or customer interests. I believe that we are being treated very harshly for an industry which has just evolved 20 years ago.
Okay.
I don't believe before 2000 there was any organized industry at all. I mean, there were very few local developers, and there were a lot of, what do you call that, local demand that was being catered to, but otherwise there was no industry as such.
That's true.
Yeah, so in 20 years, we have undergone a huge change. I mean, if you look at the millions now, today it must be of maybe even 1 billion or 2 billion square feet that has been built in the last 20 years. I'm sure that, you know, there are going to be slip ups, there are going to be intent issues, there are going to be certain black sheep, but we are being painted as one, you know, bad community. So that I definitely feel very deeply for.
No, I think we are now, a lot of consolidation that we are already seeing in real estate, and a lot of awareness among buyers also has increased in last few
Yes,
years. So
yes.
I believe we are on a right path, and as you said, it's still a young industry, long way to go. Coming to the trends, recently a lot of, like you mentioned now, buyers are much more aware. They want to buy homes as a financial security for emotional reasons. We have seen a change in buyers' inclination towards suburban locations, integrated townships, in commercial
Yes,
congestion of workplaces by
workspace.
organizations. In retail,
Yes,
most brands are now looking at omni-channel presence. But are
yes.
these trends short term, or are they going to stay here with us? Or is it once the vaccine comes in, we'll all be, as before? Because I ask this because most of the projects, they take 3 years, 4 years, or more to complete. So if you are launching a project, how do you plan that?
Sapna, I believe that while the pandemic has ravaged the world and has ravaged a lot of people, we have learned a lot of lessons from it. I believe that the change for all these factors that you spoke about indoor, outdoor living, having larger spaces, having better facilities, and retail again having indoor, outdoor, and having probably a lot of online and brick and mortar stores. All of them are here to stay,
Mhm.
and I believe all of them are here to stay for the betterment of the planet itself. I believe that we have been growing in a very haphazard, in a very irresponsible way.
So
So that is so
in a
that
way,
is here to
do you
stay for
think
the.
COVID has been a learning for us this
Yes,
period?
absolutely. It has been a learning for us. It has been a lesson for us, and people have realized that many people are today adopting a very different lifestyle than what they had for the last 30 years. I am a 52-year-old man. I can change. I see a lot of people changing,
Right, right.
and I'm
That
changing for the better.
that's a very positive sentiment, and I hope people don't revert back to their old ways of living, and
We hope so too. I mean, but the best part is that we have to lead by example, and if some of us can be influencers, I think we have to keep rubbing the message home, and we just have to keep what do you call that, pushing people in the right direction. I mean, that's the best that we can do.
I
and
think
and I
that's
think there are a lot of other initiatives that already the government has taken. For instance, they are going to bring in green cars. They are going to remove all the fossil fuel cars very shortly. So it is not just in India, it is across the globe, and they are having only cycling precincts. So those things are anyway on the cards, and I think this has only accelerated the path towards it. Yeah.
true, true. COVID has been an accelerator in many ways in terms of technology, in terms of eco-friendly initiatives across the globe, as you
Yes.
rightly mentioned, and
Yes.
that's the message Dr. Vasudevan is giving. Let's do our bit, whatever we can do, and hope to inspire others to do the right thing, even
Sure.
once we get the vaccine and we have normalcy across our cities. But thank you, Dr. Vasudevan. I think we could have gone on and on the, in terms of
Sure. Thank you.
conversation. There were a lot
Thank
of
you.
questions that I would have loved to ask you. But thank you so much for being here with us, sharing your inputs. And again, our best wishes for the new initiatives that you have taken. And wish you a very happy Diwali.
Yeah. Thank you, Sapna. Wish you a happy Diwali too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.